Hi, everyone. My name is Frank. I'm part of the Plauti team over here. I've been with the team for about a year and a half now. Uh, Pardon my bit nasally voice right now. I'm recovering from being under the weather, so please excuse that. And just keep in mind today, I'll go through this a bit slower so that in case there's a lag or something, that catches up to you. I'm joined by my colleague.
Yeah, hi, my name is Ogi. I've been here a little bit longer. I think this summer, 4 years. Yeah, and I'll be mostly presenting the demo of our product.
Great, then let's get started. So thanks again for joining the webinar today. Today we're going to be discussing data quality strategies for superior AI outcomes, both in Salesforce and in Einstein Copilot. We'll actually go over some use cases and studies on some of the impacts that data quality has on Einstein Copilot. So getting started, the agenda for today is first covering challenges in data quality. Then we'll jump into solutions around for pristine data quality, and then Ogi will give a live demo of our Cloudy Data Management solution, which will help you understand how we can address a lot of those data quality challenges. And after that, we can go into a Q&A session to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please hold them till the end, or you can also drop it in the chat, and we can get to it towards the end. So we're talking about the impact of data quality on AI today because data quality is fundamental to how effective your AI is. So a good way to think about this is how habits are to a learning child, right? Once learned is very hard to undo. And if a child is eating, for example, candy and watching cartoons, that's not going to result in good habits compared to a child eating nutritious food and getting an education, right? So clean and quality data is like good nutrition to AI. So using this analogy, if AI models analyze patterns and make predictions based on input data, the integrity of that data directly impacts the AI's ability to perform accurately. Now, this is a bit of a known thing, right? But at the current rate of adoption, now is the time for organizations to think of what their future AI will train on. The effects of poor data quality is multifaceted and can lead to multiple negative outcomes, and we'll take a look at a few of them here. One is decreased model accuracy, right? Erroneous data inputs lead to incorrect outputs. For example, if you think of a case where an AI is supposed to detect fraud activity and is trained on incorrect data, that AI might flag legitimate transactions as fraudulent or miss fraudulent activity. The other can be a reduce in the confidence. So if AI outputs are incorrect, it can erode the trust of the team and the stakeholders that you have. Right? This can impact not only the current AI initiative but future ones as well. So and this will set your organization back in the trend. Identifying and correcting these errors can be very costly and can take up a lot of your team's resources as well once you get to that point. So it's much harder to retrain a model or audit for errors after a release, and it might require you to hire additional data analysts or purchase additional software to correct that. So it's better to catch it upfront and fix it upfront. And until you catch those errors, of course, the flawed insights are going to affect your operation negatively, right? It can increase your risk. It can decrease, have an impact on your customer relationship, and ultimately, it's gonna hurt your organization's bottom line. So, data quality issues can arise in any data storage system, whether it's built in house, whether it's a data lake. For for this instance, we are of course talking about Salesforce data quality. But let's cover some common use cases around data quality issues. One big data quality issue that we run into is, of course, duplicate records. Multiple records for a single entity can of course lead to confusion and redundancy in the efforts, and this can affect your customers' relationship as well as marketing efforts. So, if you plan to use something like Einstein Copilot to either automate responses or retrieve data for your own responses, uh, your Copilot can refer to the wrong record, giving you outdated or incomplete information. And the same goes for, of course, updating a record, right? As your Copilot can just as easily update the wrong record if there are duplicates. And now your team won't have the correct information available to them whenever they need it. Another is incomplete data. Partial data can yield incomplete views. This can also lead to less personalized customer interactions. And if you use the same example again with Copilot, say for example, your customer profile is incomplete. You might have some of your customers purchase history, but some is missing, or uh, a part of it is stored in a duplicate record. Now when Copilot automates a personalized offer for your customer, it might be missing the fact that your customer purchased a new pair of shoes about 2 months ago, and it can offer them the same pair again. And another is, of course, outdated information. If data isn't continuously updated, it becomes obsolete. And this will, of course, impact your decisions, since you will be making those decisions based on conditions that no longer exist. And this outdated reference is going to negatively impact your customer journey, and data can actually become outdated much quicker than a lot of people anticipate, because after all, people move jobs. uh, they might get married and change names, so all these things can lead to outdated data. So think, for an example, James over here reaches out, requesting for some information, or you send James an email regarding an ongoing discount. Say you're running a campaign for a 15% discount on New York Yankee tickets, but James has apparently relocated to Florida. Right, he's enjoying the sun out there, and he's going to see this email, and it's not going to make sense, right? And it's not going to look good on your company's behalf. So this could lead to unsubscribing, and James might not have the information he was looking for after all. So that's a case that you can encounter with outdated information. And sometimes invalid information can also enter your system. Now, I can't be the only one that has created some fake Yahoo email address to get through an online step, right? People often use pseudonyms and alternate handles online, but to catch this all manually is not easy. You'll need a solution to help you in this process, to identify these data issues and validate the data, or it'll consume a lot of your team's time. And without addressing all of this and taking steps to fix these issues, you're not going to see the ROI in adopting something like a Copilot, because it's going to lead to more challenges than solutions. So maintaining pristine data quality is a challenge both on a technical level and on an organization level. This has a lot to do with user behaviors, which has a big impact here. Let's take a look at some of the user behaviors that commonly impacts data quality. And one is the lack of standardization. Uh, you know, it's very common for different departments to have different a different idea on what a certain term is, or what a certain category is, and this can lead to non-uniform data across your organization. So that's that's one technical hurdle, an organizational hurdle to overcome. Another one that's also very common is data silos, right? Your data can be isolated in many different parts of the country, the company, across many different systems, and it's very important for you to find a way to, of course, consolidate this data for a comprehensive view. And this will, of course, improve your analytics, improve your insights. So isolated data and data silos is another organizational challenge. And another one is, of course, manual entry errors. uh, Human data entry is, of course, error prone. You can collect a lot of unusable data this way, and it can create a lot of inaccuracies in your AI systems. So it's important to understand these three very common cases and find ways to address them as a company and an organization to, of course, be prepared for a step like AI. Now, I want to take a minute here and ask you all a question. And I'd like all of you to participate here, because it'll give us a good idea of what the average architecture looks like in the group we have here today. So, how do you currently manage your data quality? Do you do it manually? Do you do it with Salesforce out of the box configuration? Do you use a third party, or do you not do it at all? Uh, and of course, there's no shame if you don't do it at all, because we're all here to learn and improve. You can scan the QR code here. So let's see. There's a lot of course, out of the box configuration, right? And typically that's what we see. Manually is another one. So let's see, what's the winner? Well, it's good to see that quite a few have, of course, looked towards third-party solutions as well, because out-of-the-box Salesforce configuration ends up being insufficient for a lot of cases, and very limiting for a lot of cases, I should say. And of course, manually doing it is not going to be good for your organization, because that means your operation has not automated a lot of things, which is going to be which is taking up a lot of time and resources there. And if you don't do it at all, well, definitely now is the time to think about it. But it's good to see there's some that have already looked into this to improve the processes with third party solutions. And I'll get into a bit more on what Plauti can provide here for a comparison there. But definitely for everyone else, if you're using out of the box configuration or doing it manually, or if you don't do it at all, now is a great time to definitely take that step to look into more robust solutions to help you there. And I'll share some more information on that. So now it's clear that data quality has an impact on areas of the business operation, right? So if that's the case, what are some ways you can improve data quality? Now, one way you can improve data quality is first by doing routine checks to check inaccuracies and standardize your data. Right. Another is to validate your data. You can also validate through several ways, one being routine checks as well. But using a solution is the quickest way to validate here because doing this manual can be extremely time consuming. Another is to create processes that continuously audit your data, and you can, of course, and I think this is a must, right, to have continuous processes to audit the data, and you can take the findings from these audits to make adjustments and updates. And lastly, what your organization can do to also improve here is to regularly notify and train users and bring the importance of data quality to top of mind, because maintaining your organization's data hygiene should be a collective effort and not one that gets pushed on to a handful of admins, because typically that ends up being overwhelming and not the best approach. So just like the advancements in AI, there have been advancements in, of course, more robust data management solutions to automate the tasks of maintaining your data quality. But first, let's look at what Salesforce out of the box can or cannot do, and why what the limits are. Some of the limits are for you to look for another third party solution. Now, Salesforce itself, of course, provides some out-of-the-box capabilities, but there are many limitations that it has that is not fitting for an enterprise or company that is looking to take a more advanced approach for their data management, right? Some of them are limiting you to 3 records to be merged at a time, right? If you say if you have 10 duplicate records, these days there's a lot of integrations that's funneling in many records. There's web to lead forms. There's records flooding your system from all angles, and it's likely that you're going to have more than 3 duplicates in some instances. However, Salesforce out of the box merging is limiting in this way. Some of the other ways are, of course, Salesforce allows only 5 active duplicate rules per object. And another one is when jobs completed reaches about 1 million records, you can't run new jobs. So you will have to constantly delete to stay under that number. And one big one is when you run a job to identify duplicates, you can be only limited to processing about 10,000 records per batch. So this means if you have a database of 1 million records, you're going to need to run like 100 jobs to do that. And if you have been a Salesforce user for some time now, you might also know that at these kind of volumes, Salesforce tend to get a bit slow, and it's not the most efficient process at that point. So to overcome these limits and many others, there are third parties who specialize in data management tooling. You can find many of these on the Salesforce App Exchange, and some are designed specifically for certain tasks, like removing duplicates. Others are focused on other aspects like validation. However, most of the time, just one of these tools is not going to be sufficient to address all your data challenges and all the challenges around this that your organization may face. So, a more comprehensive approach is using a 360-degree data management tool that unifies all these key aspects of data management in one solution, like Plauti data management. Right. Another advantage of a comprehensive data management solution is rather than a mix and match and a mixed bag of goods, all components work hand in hand in a unified way. And These are typically easier to set up and adopt as well as an organization. So if you're talking about our solution, Plauti Data Management, it's a comprehensive data management suite specifically designed for Salesforce data management. It can unify your data, it can maintain your customer data integrity, and it has lots of preventative features to keep bad data from entering your system. Well, some of the key features, uh, if I'm to say, is checking duplicates and removing duplicates, validating data, and it also integrates with Salesforce to ensure that your data remains secure and compliant. Of course, Og will cover more of that during the demo. Additionally, PDM also offers automation options for data maintenance, and this can help you save time and ensure continuous data quality without manual intervention. So, if you would also like more information, feel free to, of course, visit our website at www.plauti.com. Now, there's another component in Plauti Data Management that can take your data management and automation to the next level. This is called our Ask ChatGPT function. And what it does is it integrates GPT-3 and 4 into your Salesforce workflows, and it allows users to generate AI driven insights and outputs directly within your Salesforce. So you can do this by creating prompts using your internal Salesforce data or external data, and this feature can enhance your data quality management. Now, it can also provide, of course, actionable insights and automate responses for tasks like lead qualification, account management, or case summaries. Now, let's take a quick, simple example of what that means and what Ask ChatGPT feature can do, right? So let's say you want to summarize your incoming cases, highlighting key indicators to help your reporting or forecasting or reviewing, or key indicators of what those cases are about. Right? And maybe you also want to categorize these cases for an operation need or a KPI. You can feed the case information dynamically to GPT through the Ask ChatGPT feature and prompt GPT to give the output as you desire, right? Since Plauti is native, you can also use dynamic field values to do this at scale. So this is just one example, but this feature can be used in many ways to automate processes. Another example can be feeding case information and prompting GPT to pick the best service team for the case. And you could provide GPT context around which service team handles which kind of cases, and GPT will then take that information, take the case information along with your prompt guidance, and give you an output that populates either a field value or triggers something within your Salesforce. So you can imagine how powerful this can be if it's implemented correctly to remove mundane tasks, right? This has already been implemented by us for some organizations and agencies, and it's had some impacts as high as 80% reduction in case handling time for one customer. So looking towards the future, one fact that really continues to shock me when I think about it is that how relatively new generative AI is, right? It feels like AI has been around for a long time now. I've attended quite a few Salesforce World Tours recently, and you know that is everywhere. There's a huge subject line, so you're everyone's getting bombarded by the subject, and it feels like it's been around forever. But of course, the general public learned about AI through the GPT introduction on November 30th, 2022. That's not even that's not even 2 years ago. So at this current pace, this is evolving. here are some of the trends that we can anticipate in this area, right? And one is around integration of AI with big data. So more robust AI tools that can process vast array of data, getting even ever closer to human-like decision making, or even better, right? Another is enhancements in NLPs, which will improve how systems interpret user commands, making interactions more intuitive and efficient. Another can be incorporating blockchain technology in Salesforce, which could enhance your data integrity and transparency. Uh, this can provide a secure and immutable ledger that is tracking transactions and ensuring that your data is authentic. And lastly, one that we can also see is Salesforce could leverage AI to predict customer behaviors and trends, following which will of course allow businesses to proactively address their customer needs and anticipate certain market changes. So wrapping up the presentation part here, before Ogi gets into a quick 10-minute demo. So one thing that I want to say is to stay competitive as an organization at the pace things are evolving, businesses should already focus on preparing themselves for AI adoption. Right? When it comes to data and AI within the Salesforce ecosystem, organizations should emphasize enhancing their data quality. And as AI technologies evolve, they will become increasingly reliant on large data volumes. So ensuring your data accuracy is essential when it comes to gathering predictive insights within Salesforce. And as we have said many times before, as a data management solution, and one that we often see is true when it comes to AI and data, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? However, despite all this, the good news is that, as you know now, there are robust tools to help you prepare in maintaining your data. And Ogi will now show you a 10-minute demo of how Plauti Data Management tackles these challenges. So, Ogi, over to you.
Thank you. All right, I'm on stage. Nice. Yeah, thanks everyone. I'll be sharing my screen. I'll be doing a demo today about Plauti data management. I don't have enough time to go into everything, but I'm gonna pick a couple things we've discussed on the slides today, and I'll just show a general overview of what the product can do in terms of data quality, basically. So if you all remember on the slides, I'm not sure. There were quite a couple of them, but there was one example of Einstein Copilot, where a rep was basically asking Copilot, "Hey, can you tell me which lead I should follow up with first?" And was doing that based on the lead scoring in Salesforce. So I wanted to show kind of an example of how bad data quality would impact that by showing some of our end user tools here, end user features here. And then later on, I'm going to go into some kind of a little bit of automation where we show how we duplicate, validate, and maybe even make some changes to incorrect data. But first of all, if you're looking at my screen, you'll see that this all looks like a standard Salesforce. To enter or get our application, you just download it from the App Exchange by going to our listing or typing in Plauti Data Management. But I'm starting in the Sales console because I'm going to show you a couple of features that are accessible on any console, like Service Console, Sales Console, Marketing Console, doesn't really matter where you are. And if you look at my screen right now, you'll see a nice list of leads. We see Carl Rogers on top, which has a score of 7 from a lead score perspective. We're going to move this like this. And this is going to be the example that we talked about in one of the slides where we think that this is actually the hot lead. So if we open it up, we see there's no duplicate here. We see that actually he went to our webinar, just like you all are doing. And basically from this point of view, you would assume that this one is the most hot lead because it has the most points, basically. But then if we look into this list, we see Andrea, we see Julie, we see Vanessa. It just goes down, it descends. And then we see Bill. And Bill is one of the examples that we've also used in one of the slides. So when I open Bill up, you immediately see that he has a trial. So he signed up for a trial of our solution. But if you look at the top, we also have this duplicate check live component. It's a little bit different than the standard Salesforce component that you might be already aware of, because since some of you voted for the answer out of the box Salesforce functionality. But this is a little bit different. This can show you any duplicates across any of the other objects as well. So lead to contact, for example, or account to contact, and there's also much more visibility in the record that might be a potential duplicate. So we open up the record, we see Bill Johnson, and then we also see William Johnson. And this is a nice feature of duplicate check, which released, I think, last month on synonym matching. Basically, you can create your own synonyms where a Bill could be a William. You can also make your own custom synonyms on words that are the same, but are maybe spelled different or worded differently. But what I'm going to show you now is how you actually can merge it. So with this screen, you click on merge, and then two interesting things happen. One interesting is that the score is actually summed together. So William and Bill apparently are the same person. They both have two different campaigns, one I think for a webinar and one for a trial sign up. And when we actually merge them, when we go to the record itself, we see that this one actually has two campaigns now. So it added the campaign from Bill and added the campaign from William, which are the same person, and reparented everything to the master record. So that's one functionality that we always support. Every related object that you have in records that you're merging are always going to be reparented to the master record. And when I go to details and I scroll down a little bit, then you'll actually see that the lead score has actually changed to 11. And this is something that you set up in in the DC setup, in the Plauti data management setup, in the merge rules section, where you can choose to summarize, for example, number values together or concatenate different values. For example, you could see that it also combined the emails in a dump field. So it combined Bill.Johnson and it combined William Johnson at adobe.com. You can configure it so that there's a white space, no white space, commas, pipe, whatever you want. And if we go scroll up to the top, you can also see that it put the email, it took one of the master records and took Bill Johnson as the master record email. And then it put the William Johnson, which is a different email, in the secondary email field. And all these things you can configure in the app in the setup page. So this is one of the examples what we want to show you, like how important it actually is that your database is clean if you want to work with AI. Because if we now go to leads, we can actually see that William is on top with 11 points. So maybe one of your reps who would have used Copilot, or in general, even if you don't use Copilot, would have thought that this person is the person that they should follow up with first, because it had 7 points. Actually might not be the most hot lead because they're duplicates. That's one thing that I wanted to show. And the next part is a little bit all about automation and showing the flow of how you can catch a record upon entry, deduplicate it, validate that record, and even correct the email address if it's spelled wrong. So what I'm going to show you is I'll go here to myself in the system, basically. If I open it, and I go to details, I on purposely didn't put in an email because I want to show you how we can validate that email upon entry. And on purpose, I didn't put in an address, but you all can see that this record exists in Salesforce. It's not made up. So when I go to a web to lead form, I can type in, I'll just type in the same, basically almost the same details as the other record. So this, and then I'm making a spelling mistake on purpose. I'm also writing my phone number without any country codes. And when I go to street, I type in the address where I live. Please don't. Well, now it's too late already. Just send me nice stuff. Don't send weird stuff. Send this into Salesforce. Then you'll see our little mascot. For the people that don't know, we were in New York a couple of weeks ago, and people didn't know why our koala was our koala. And it's basically because we think it's about data quality. Super funny. Okay. Regardless, I'm gonna refresh my page here, and when I go to the details over here, you could actually see. Actually, let me switch to our app because my Salesforce layout is a little bit nicer there. And you can see how easy it is to switch as well. Like it's an app in Salesforce, it's native, so you don't have to log into a different app. Straight Plauti data management, go to setup or go to a lightning page, and you actually can change your rules and change everything, which is something that our customers really love. So now I move over to this page because if you can see on the right here, it actually added the country code and the plus sign. And if I go back, you'll see that it was not there before. You can see that my email is still spelled the way it is. But when we scroll down a little bit, we have a record validation actually validated the phone number. So it changed it basically. And it actually also told me that this email is invalid. It's actually bouncing. So we do a check and we can basically SMTP check to see if anything can be delivered to this address. If so, then we mark it as valid. If not, then we mark it as bounce basically. And the last nice thing is if you look over here, you see that the only thing that I added here was the street where you could send me nice things and the city. But it actually capitalized Arnhem, which is the city where I live, because that's how we spell cities in the Netherlands. It added the province, it added the postal code, and it changed the country from Netherlands to Nederland, how we actually spell it in Netherlands, basically. That's a really nice way of showing how we actually can deduplicate records upon entry. So this all happened within a couple of seconds, basically. Within those seconds, it validated the phone numbers. It actually corrected the phone number even. It validated the email address, and it added some additions basically to my address. And then if we go one step further, we also have it's basically part of Plauti data management. It's called Data Action Platform, which is basically an app that I'm not sure how to exactly describe it. We call it a Swiss Army knife of Salesforce, because it replaces a lot of things that you might use external software for, like Data Loader or Excel for what it's worth. But it's an app that you could use, which is native to Salesforce, for example, to assign ownership of records. You can create tasks in bulk. You can find and replace things in bulk. Mass convert leads to contacts, for example. If you want to switch over from leads to contacts, there's mass delete there, mass update. Roll-up actions, which is really nice, but we really don't have time to go into all of this. But it's an app that you can also download separately from Plauti Data Management if you'd like. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to click on correct email typos, which is a macro. And a macro is basically a shortcut that we've created. And a summary of that shortcut is basically it corrects typos in emails that we configured our own. And what we'll do now is we'll run. And then magically you see that it actually changed gamil.com to Gmail. And we do have to validate this again. I could set it so that when the record is changed, it validates it. But for now, I'm going to revalidate it like this. It shows us a nice UI on if the email is correct. And then everything on this record is verified. The email is actually something can be delivered there. The address is nice and complete. It's deduplicated, and the phone number is actually standardized. That's a very quick demo on what Plauti data management does. Furthermore, you could also find records in bulk, of course. We don't have enough time to go into that. But basically, you can run a query or a search on your whole database to find all the duplicates there. You could mass merge them from that point on. You could mass convert them if you would like. And you can also run a mass validation job on any object, be it leads, contacts, accounts, on addresses, on emails, and on phone numbers. So everything that you see now, which was only on a single record, can be also done in bulk. So if you're interested in seeing a little bit more of that, since considering quite a majority of you didn't have any data quality solutions or might are using a competitor already, so we definitely want to speak to you. But yeah, you're always welcome to schedule a call with us or just get it from the App Exchange so you could test it out yourself. but yeah, this was just a quick overview to show what we actually have. And I guess it's back to you, Frank.
Thanks there, Ogi. So we can jump into the Q&A now. We see a few questions to cover. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, let me start with a couple of them. Yeah.
So Mark has
Yeah.
a question. Is the GPT integration using Einstein Copilot? No, Mark. So the GPT integration is using OpenAI, of course. So as you followed up with, or do users require their own OpenAI paid account for Plauti? Yes. So you'll have to create your own OpenAI account. Of course, you can create business accounts now, and then we'll take that API key and insert it to the feature. And Dave has a question. Thanks for the question, Dave. If you're talking about GPT-3 and 4, maybe I missed it, but what about data security? That's a good question, right? So how that feature works is when you're prompting GPT with any information in your Salesforce org, you're only sending GPT that information with no associations to it. So, for example, let's say we take the case example that I gave, and you want GPT to categorize it in some way and forward it or label it for a certain team to take over. In that case, you can send just the body of the message to GPT, where it can analyze it, and in the prompt you can give it guidance around what the response should be like, whether it's just picking from a pick list or giving a summary. So in that way, yes, you're sending GPT data within Salesforce. However, you're only sending strictly what you decide to send with no associations there. So obviously, that setup has to be up to your organization's discretion on how you configure that. And Mark has another question. Thank you, Mark. What about backend service? What backend service is being used for address validation? So yeah, of course. For address validation, for physical address validation, we work with the data provider, and they're the ones who, and that data provider actually works with local post offices. So that information is more accurate than your Google search, and that's how we validate address information. And it is based on kind of a usage system where we work with a credit system where it only charges on usage, so you can definitely tailor it to your operation and volumes. So addresses specifically, I'm less interested in email and phone validation. So yes, as I mentioned, if you would like more information on address validation, Mark, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will happily provide more information on that. So, what countries are supported? We support over 250 countries. So, as I mentioned, it's 250 countries and territories. Anna, thanks for the question. For email and phone validation, are you pulling this information from any other source outside of Salesforce? Yes, for email validation, we actually do an SMTP check, and we can get feedback like whether it's a catch-all, whether it's a fake email, whether it's a one-time use, and this feedback can be stored as status codes in a Salesforce field, and you can actually report on this and use this to filter out emails that you don't want to, for example, use for an email or marketing campaign or for your sales reps to reach out to, right? Uh, and
Yeah, phone
what
number
about
yeah. Phone number is indeed a, yeah. We standardize the phone number based on the country field, basically. So we don't validate if it's actually a phone number that's existing. We look at the format. Does it actually match, basically match the consistency of the phone number in relationship to the country where it's actually from? And if we have the country, then we can also add the country code and the brackets. And I think we have 4 different types of how a phone number could be spelled. I forgot how it's called. Yeah, but it's 4
Yeah,
formats
and
of
of
phone
course,
numbers.
if a digit is missing, it'll recognize that it's an invalid phone number. So from Mark, have you guys got a battle card showing differences between data management features on core Salesforce platform versus what Plauti is able to achieve? Yes, we do, Mark. I mean, we have more differentiators and more use cases where why customers have gone for Plauti and enterprises have chosen Plauti. Happy to send you more information on that as well. I covered a couple of examples there, but of course, in a nutshell, Salesforce out of the box is uh, not able to address a lot of enterprise edge cases, right? You can do some fuzzy matching. However, once you get into all these different scenarios that you encounter through the multiple integrations and data input methods, Salesforce out of the box is not sufficient for these cases. That's where a solution like Cloudy comes in, and I'm happy to share more information on that. And do we have more questions? So, as I mentioned, if you would like to learn more, please feel free to visit our website. It's www.plowdy.com. Actually, there's a chat box there. You can directly jump in there and ask your questions if you're on a page and want to learn more, and our team will be happy to help you there. Right. So, finally, I want to say thanks a lot for joining today. It was a pleasure hosting this webinar for you. I hope you learned a lot in this webinar, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next one. Thanks and have a great day.
Yes, thank you all.